Welcome to the Float Podcast, an entrepreneurial journey. My name is Nick Janicki, once a wide-eyed hippie with purple dreadlocks, and now the founder of the True Rest Float Spa, the fastest growing floating franchisor in the world, and CEO of FloatPod Technologies, the industry leader in float pods. Follow me along in my entrepreneurial journey with what will become the next billion-dollar industry to enter the health and wellness sector. Let's connect with world-class athletes, actors, musicians, doctors, industry experts, and explore the mindsets of powerful entrepreneurs. Let's get this floating party started. Welcome to the Float Podcast. I'm here with Lyle Maxson with Relentless Beats. Very, very happy to have you here. We just went to an event you had, which was awesome. And we had the oxygen bar there. We had our little video with people getting in and out of the float pod. And I know you floated a couple times, but tell us a little bit about your background and how and why you're doing what you're doing.
Ooh, that's broad. Well, thanks for having me on, too.
Absolutely.
This is exciting. As far as my background, I guess in life, I started practicing Buddhism when I was 16. Had this very big desire to find out what else was out there. I majored in college in business marketing, but minored in philosophy. So there was always this very two sides. Took an integrated spirituality class and another class about integration with my majors, and figured out that I really want to be involved with the business end of raising consciousness. It was what it came down to.
So at 16, you made a pretty conscious choice, to do something very deliberate. How old are you now?
24.
24. Okay. So, 8 years. And so from that moment, how did you get into what you're doing now, specifically with Relentless Beats?
Well, I promoted for a lot of companies through college. Mm-hmm. I like to call myself, actually one of the companies I worked for called us mood enhancers. Okay. So a lot of our job was to bring happiness through different clubs and different venues. I never liked selling tickets or any of that, but that opportunity got presented at Relentless. I wasn't good at it at all. Right. I like to sell the exact 10 to get my friend in for free as a +1 thing. But once I graduated, I actually met with my business partner, Samuel, and he was just working with me at another promotion job. We decided that we wanted full-time jobs. We got together and spent a few weeks making a 6-month marketing plan, arranged a meeting with the CEO and CFO, and slapped it on their desk. And said, this is what we want to do to help you add value in all these different ways. They said, that's awesome, but we don't have money for you. Right. So we went back to my apartment and spent 9 months, 12-hour days, 6 days a week, figuring out how we're going to generate money for an event company. Wow. And that fell on sponsorships.
And how long ago was that?
That was last year. Wow. We were working out of my apartment last year at this time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And so, I just came to one of your events, and it was incredible. How many people were at that event?
We did 8,000 people, I think. Wow. We were expecting 10. But yeah, it's only its second year too for this festival.
Sure. And so kind of what is your goal in the future, let's say the next 2 to 3 years, in terms of shifting and changing those events? Kind of what's your personal goal with these?
Well, with Relentless, it's there's a very big need for culture within just Phoenix in general. So I think that Phoenix is going to be a very big hub for that. Within the event itself, it's just bringing in as much of the transformational aspects of the other festivals, like Lightning in a Bottle or Symbiosis,
sure.
that we could bring in to really start to balance out the hedonism and the empty partying that's happening right now. Right. I call it cosmic celebration, so that's really what it needs to be about, is partying with a purpose.
Partying with a purpose.
Exactly.
That's a good tagline right there.
That's what I really want to do, is have more nonprofits involved, more sustainability, and then more conscious engagement, every level. Making it so people start to see the shift happen.
And now, how do you do that? Let's maybe get into your float experience. So how did you find out about floating? And what was your first and second experience like?
I found out about it through your lovely employee, AJ. Okay. Met him at Crystal Store.
At a crystal store?
Yes, he was working at
awesome.
Black Rock Minerals.
Nice.
So I knew nothing about crystals really, and I started talking to him about lucid dreaming. Because I've been really big into lucid dreaming for a long time. So suggested some books. He said that I should do some yoga with him. So I started doing that, and then he told me about the float spa. So it was amazing. My first few experiences, just as far as the space that it creates apart from like what you create yourself when you're meditating, makes it a little more easy to like fall into that space. And yeah, just I feel like, you know, you're the baby in the womb again.
Right.
And that's like a really important feeling that I don't think anything else could do. So
this is true. And our logo is the Vesca Pisces, which is basically the womb of the universe, essentially. So no, totally get that. And you know, I'd be curious with these events, how would you see integrating light or music or even flotation? And I know you were talking about a light sphere, a light dome. Talk a little bit about that and how you're planning on integrating that into the event.
Yeah, that's a big topic itself. So I'm working with a company called Full Dome. They are funded by Hare Krishna, and they have their main intention behind it is to uplift consciousness through this 360 immersive experience that will really like target the millennials or really anybody, you know, as like this just new way to experience anything. So working with them, I could really just see it like becoming like this vehicle of consciousness. It's like basically just creating like this high vibrational space within all this mainstream chaos that's happening at a festival for people to walk in and be uploaded.
And you basically just shift. So I mean, I'm imagining, you know, you're at one of these events and you could walk into a space and just the entire energy can shift.
Right.
Yeah, so awesome. I can't wait for that. You know, tell us a little bit. So now, you know, you're talking about working long hours. I mean, obviously, you know, do you have a meditation practice, or how do you kind of have a work-life balance at this point? Because I know you're probably pretty busy.
Yeah, it's interesting. Just as of lately, I spend all my time either working or writing about what I'm working about, or like really writing a novel about it currently.
But you're writing a novel about your life or your...
Yeah, so like neurolinguistic programming has always been interesting to me because I don't like to say the same affirmations as much as... I mean, affirmations are different than like for neurolinguistics, they want you to write out your goals like repetitively or read them in the shower. So I came up with this idea to be writing a book about where I'm at now and where like I want my life to be, where I want the planet to be. So I'm like almost like drawing the blueprints for like how I want my life to carry out.
Awesome. You're naturally doing something. Cameron Harold, who was he was one of the partners of a company called 1-800 Junk, and now he's a CEO coach, and he calls it the vivid vision. And he says basically what he does and what he teaches other CEOs to do and other entrepreneurs is, in the most vivid vision you can, is imagine what 3 years from now looks like. Mm-hmm. And in terms of the people that are around you, what your setting looks like, what you're actually doing. And then once you have that vivid vision, is basically then what are the steps to make that happen? And it sounds like very intuitively you're basically doing that. You're one of those people that you're sort of 2 to 3 years in the future, and you just try to like figure out how to make that happen. Right. If it flows how it should, of course. But
yeah, I've seen just a lot of just my growth has been so quick based off the fact that my purpose and like goal is so like straightforward. Like I don't have anything that's like that, oh, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. Like I know exactly what I'm supposed to be doing within festivals, within like just the upliftment of the planet and like healing everybody. So like being able to express that as quickly and possibly to anything from multi-million-dollar investors to different event companies or you know, potential like clients and companies that want to get involved. Just like having that purpose as clear as possible is so important.
Right. No, absolutely. And you know, I'd be curious. I haven't gone to a whole lot of events myself. For anybody that's listening that hasn't been to an event, what are some that you would recommend for a beginner in the event space, essentially?
Yeah, I would definitely say lightning in a bottle over everything that I've been to. Mm-hmm. It's just, yeah, that one would be by far the best. Obviously, I've heard a lot about Burning Man, but I feel like that is something that, like, I still haven't even gone. Okay. And I feel like it's something that, yeah, I don't know if you could just throw somebody into that one.
Right.
Yeah, so there's like something like lightning in a bottle, symbiosis, Shambhala, and vision, where there's still like the aspects of a festival that people are like used to.
Right, sure.
But then there's like the whole other side of it as well.
Okay. And how is that whole other side? What are other people doing to integrate this? Are they coming to you as a consultant, or what are some other things these events are doing to make that shift?
I think that they were founded on those principles, really. So like a lot of the owners of like the Do Lab or the people that are curating these events really are basing it off of like how to develop within the festival. And so I think that the music, I don't know, I couldn't speak for them, but I think from at least my standpoint, the music would be secondary.
Okay. And so these are, a lot of workshops, meditation, yoga, things like that.
Yeah, even like cooking. They do cooking classes all day long for like just like vegan organic cooking.
Interesting.
Different like chefs come in on an hourly basis.
Okay, so you're not going to be starving during these as well. Right. So I mean, you're getting good nutrition. These events, because honestly, a lot of events, especially I'm in my late 30s, and it's when I talk to people in my age group about it, they're kind of it seems like something you're going to be camping out. It's like harsh, and I've kind of done that. So now I'm like, I need a hotel and I need good food and nourishment. So you can still get that at some of these events, right?
Right.
So this is something that can appeal to a broader audience.
Yeah, I mean that was my huge thing. Just going to festivals since I got out of high school was that every day you wake up feeling terrible. You feel completely run down. Most of them are 3 days long. You're trying to figure out how you're gonna get back into the same space. Right. And it literally is leading all the way up to that exact moment, when you're walking into the festival that you finally feel like you have the energy even to do it. And lightning in a bottle every single morning, you wake up feeling better than the day before. And I've never experienced that before.
That is a huge statement. Space. That's a huge statement.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's it could be based on the food, but it really is based on the energy that's there and the fact that you want to wake up early to experience the morning yoga and the morning sound healings. The way that they curate it specifically for that audience.
Okay. What are some of the most specific things with Relentless Beats that you're most excited about right now?
There's a few of them. So for Decadence, it's going to be fairly small scale, but there will be a healing sanctuary there. So that will have different conscious companies crystal vendors, herbal vendors, different visionary art, all curated like yourself with maybe even True Rest with having oxygen bars within it.
Sure.
So it'd be one space for all the conscious vendors. We even have acro yoga that's coming out, a new acro yoga studio. So it's all going to be centered in this pod almost with a dome structure, having it very relaxing, a decompression area.
Awesome.
But then around that would be the other companies that want to showcase what they could offer on a higher level than just t-shirt sales and hot dogs.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So I mean, would you say that's your biggest goal in the next 12 months is to start integrating this into other events? So I mean, if there's other events that are listening to this, they could reach out to you and say, hey Lyle, we have an event, we're not doing this yet, but you'd be the guy that kind of can point them into the right direction.
Right. Yeah, so I mean the overall arching goal, I mean at least for now, is to have these curated activations, consciousness activations that can be plug and play into any major mainstream festival.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, we're working with SWAT, which is the largest spring break company in the country. We're also working with Barcelona Broadfest, which is in Barcelona every year, with the Groove Cruise now. They also have the Zen Cruise, which is a transformational cruise experience.
Cruise, you're talking a boat cruise. Okay, wow.
Yeah, and so all these different festivals we're starting to partner with, they want us to come in for sponsorships and to bring in, anything from Red Bull or Coke to bring in a bunch of dollars. Basically, all they care about is are these companies going to get involved to subsidize, whatever their cost is. But we're all about what are they going to do to activate something that's more meaningful and using the corporate dollars to do it.
Wow, that's awesome. Tell us a little more about, you started. I like to get people's personal entrepreneurial journey as well. So I mean, I love the fact that I kind of had a midlife crisis, I say jokingly, at 16, 17, and I was about ready to go off and become a Buddhist monk in a temple. Mm-hmm. But I realized it was more important to do things and integrate them in society. And I think a lot of people are kind of realizing that it's not about going off in seclusion. I think it's about raising the consciousness in not a woo-woo way, but a very scientific way. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people, especially in their 20s, and I love how you said partying with a purpose. And so I think we get lost in the experience, but we forget about the integration. Mm-hmm. So what would you say a little bit more about if someone's in their 20s, and I get this question a lot, is, they want to affect more people on a mainstream basis, but they don't know how. And I think a lot of people in their 20s, the millennials, are very hard on themselves. Mm-hmm. So they realize they have power to change the world, but they don't know what to do. So this is a hard question, but what would your advice be to someone who's, say, 16, 17, and they're going through what you went through? What would your advice be to them now that you're 8 years ahead?
I almost wouldn't even say I have advice, because really what we're trying to get the festivals based around is not only like the healing aspect, but then the personal empowerment, like that self-realization, and then how you're going to take what you learn from this festival and model it into the real world.
So just get involved, basically.
Yeah, so I mean, there's so much to do with sustainability, with permaculture, with nonprofit work, with just education in general, that I think a lot of it you could learn from these festivals and then be able to apply. Almost like we wanted to set up like a leveling system or some sort of ranking system where people need to show like what they're doing outside of the festival world.
Interesting.
To inspire others, because transformational festivals, I have like two critiques. One is that they're preaching to the choir.
Right.
They're preaching to a lot of the most conscious people out there. And then the second one is that the energy isn't like very focused. Everyone's off doing their own thing. But I think that if there was like specific initiatives that people could all like co-create and collaborate with, I think that it's really just like power of numbers, really. So my best advice would say, find the people that want to grow just as fast as you and are just as like consciously developed, somebody that like really wants to be in that space, and then work together to figure out how you're going to do it. Because I wouldn't have done this by myself. Meeting the most amazing people at festivals, and like I went from having one mentor, maybe a few years ago, to having 8 or 9 this year. Wow. And I think that's what it's really about, is like getting together with the people that are like-minded. Okay. Collaboration. So collaborate.
Yeah, that's the biggest one. Yeah. And I found that with, everything we're doing as well. And, we'll probably collaborate on something with floating for sure, I feel like. Collaboration is definitely the key. And I think that's a shift that's happening, is, a lot of people wanted to do things, by themselves. A lot of entrepreneurs in particular, they want to take full ownership of something. And I think by becoming vulnerable and accepting other people's ideas, you're like opening yourself up to, more possibilities and better possibilities. So that's huge. What's the best way someone can get in touch with you? Do you have a website or?
Relentless Beats. We don't even have like a partner development section on there, so it just would be my email really, or cell phone.
Okay.
It's just my name, Lyle@relentlessbeats.com.
Okay.
That would be the best way, really.
And if there is one question I didn't ask or something I should have asked, what would that have been?
It's a good question, I guess. One question that you should have asked.
Something that could help someone else, or something related to, what you're doing in events or transformational, just consciousness and things like that. Just anything.
I guess just like how you could get more involved, maybe like how they could get more involved within like the conscious movement.
Okay, what's the best way to get involved?
I would say there's some local tribes, I call them tribes, like conscious tribes, that are starting to sprout up really everywhere. I would say like getting involved with them as much as possible, and then like realizing that I don't think that music festivals are like the final frontier by any means.
And when you say tribes, where would someone go to find one of these? Like, is this on a meetup, or is this Facebook, or where do people go?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of Facebook, but it's also like being able to like be active in the community. You'll find the people that are like leading the different events and ceremonies and things within like any major city, really. I don't think that music festivals are the final frontier, but I think they're supposed to be drawing all these tribes together to perpetuate something a lot bigger than like just what they have as an initiative. Like how to get more involved is like bring your people out to the conscious events and start to like collaborate.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. That's all the time we have. And as usual, this is sponsored by True Rest Franchising as well as Float Pod. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes.